Content warning. The following video contains material that may be harmful or traumatizing to some audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
Just when you thought you could turn your back and walk away, the dark cloud of human indignity follows you. You have no choice but to turn and look it in the eye. It's the sex offender hit list.
Tiny chairs, big fear in the hallway. Smile like a saint, hands move the wrong way. They said trust them, gold star on the name tag. Underneath that cardigan, pure red, black flag. Report gets filled, it vanishes, airbrushed. Kids get confused, they gaslight the blush. Lawyer in the blue suit says their record's clean, but a child can't sleep, keep scrubbing their skin. Faces and faculty photos, half of them new. Whispers in staff rooms, what else could we do? They pass the problem like paper in class. Transfer the terror, let trauma amass. We need justice, not a warning, not a slap on the wrist, not sorry. In the morning, lifetime served, but the scars stay burning. Kids lose futures while the creeps keep turning. We need justice, heavy like a hammer, turn that courtroom cold. Let the sentence bring the answer. Children pay forever while the monsters get a minute. Wood shepherd justice for the ones who did it.
Male, female, predator's a shapeshifter. Perfumer aftershave, same poison in the mixture. She's too pretty to harm, he's so good with the youth. They hide behind gender to outrun the truth. Judge sees a parent, not the child on the stand. Let's protect their career while a kid shakes their hand. Rehabilitation for the one with the grin. But a kid's whole childhood gets locked from within. You gave them weekends, community chores. They took away birthdays, closed all the doors. You call it a sentence, we call it a joke. You let them walk free while a child stays broke.
How's a summer inside? Worth a lifetime of shame. How's a curfew at night? Worth a scar in the brain. You say people change, but that child can't go back. You say move on, but the sleep turns bright. We need justice, not a warning, not a slap on the wrist, not sorry. In the morning, lifetime served, but the scars stay burning. Kids lose futures while the creeps keep turning. We need justice, heavy like a hammer, turn that courtroom cold. Let the sentence bring the answer. Children pay forever while the monsters get a minute. Wood shepherd justice for the ones who did it. For the kids who got asked what they wore as a fabric invited. The hand at the door for the ones disbelieved by the staff, by the system, who learned early on that adults won't always listen. This is for the classrooms that feel like a cage, for the rage in their ribs that never route ages, for the names in the files redacted, erased, while the wolves change schools like a mask, like a face. So call it what it is, call it torture, flip the cack, stop polishing the image, start having kids' backs turn. Lenience to iron, turn its users into dust. You want real protection, then make punishment just.
"43 felony counts of child molestation, child exploitation, and possession of child pornography were filed here against this former daycare employee in Brownsburg. Court records show the man is accused of preying on children while he was at work.
Fox 59's Jesse Wells explains why additional charges could be filed as the investigation into this disturbing case continues.
The suspect made his initial court hearing here in Hendricks County this afternoon, during which it took the judge almost a half hour to read off the 43 felony charges he now faces. Investigators say this lengthy investigation can also serve an important safety warning for parents everywhere.
Main Street University for Kids remains shut down after allegations surfaced this week that a former employee sexually molested children at the Brownsburg daycare. According to court records, investigators found more than 130 sexually graphic photos on Gabriel Garner's phone taken at the daycare between May 2024 and January of this year, all involving pre-kindergarten children between the ages of 3 and 5.
The parents are feeling absolutely blindsided, devastated. This has been the worst 48 hours of many of their lives.
Catherine Michael came to the courthouse representing some of the victims' families. She believes the daycare managers failed to properly report wrongdoing by Garner for nearly a year. In fact, the case only came to light last month when an employee reported the allegations because her managers didn't, despite being required by state law.
I think the worst part is that it could have been stopped far easier and far earlier than it was. This man was identified as a possible perpetrator more than a year ago.
It is a tragedy, it is heartbreaking, and it is disgusting.
Police say they're still combing through nearly 125,000 pornographic images found on Garner's phone, most of which he allegedly downloaded but didn't take himself. So far, police have identified 6 victims from the daycare, which led to the criminal charges already filed, but more victims and more charges are still possible.
I think what I hope people will at least, recognize moving forward is that, these types of people are amongst us. So making sure that our children understand all about body safety and who to report to and what to tell is paramount here.
Finally, the suspect is now being held on a higher than normal $600,000 cash bond pending trial. Jesse Wells, Fox 59 News.
All right, Jesse, thank you. Fox 59.
New video shows the moments Cocoa Beach police get in touch with a Brevard County elementary principal, along with a teacher, accused of being involved in a drunken underage house party that sent one teenager to the hospital. Now, in it, you now see former principal Elizabeth Hill Brodigan and teacher Carly Anderson being questioned by police.
In this body camera video, we listen in as Cocoa Beach police get former Roosevelt Elementary principal Elizabeth Hill Brodigan on the phone the morning after an alleged underage house party at her house.
Well, I mean, I can meet you. I just don't understand why I have to meet you. Am I in trouble or something?
Well, I mean, how do things look? Honestly, how do they look?
How do they look? I mean...
You had a party at your house with a bunch of kids. The police are notified. It's not a good look.
Well, I'm a teacher. Later, Cocoa Beach police get accused teacher Carly Anderson on the phone, telling her the officer she spoke with overnight says the party was a, quote, debacle.
Oh, it's not a debacle. I just want him to know that I had no participation in what took place on Country Club Road last night. I do not participate in underage ragers or allow that. So, I want to make it clear to Officer Brown that me and my boss, she might do her thing, but that's none of my business. I do not participate in that.
But police didn't buy it, arresting Anderson. Cocoa Beach police say more than 100 kids were at the principal's home in January, many drinking alcohol. Brevard County Fire and EMS treated one child for vomiting and shaking on the front lawn. Anderson is charged with disorderly conduct, disorderly intoxication, and now resisting an officer. Police say she interfered with first responders. Hill Brodigan is facing child neglect and contributing to the delinquency of minors.
When there's somebody who's a custodian of children and should be responsible for that, I think that's the most significant part of the case.
As the phone call with Hill Brodigan ends, police reveal what's about to happen.
I have a warrant for your arrest to take you to the county jail.
Oh my God.
Both are now out of the school system pending the outcome of their cases.
Anderson's trial starts Monday with jury selection followed by opening arguments. This trial is expected to take at least 2 days. If convicted, Anderson could spend weeks in jail and her teaching license could be in jeopardy. No trial has been set for the principal.
Camden County school teachers in jail after being arrested for inappropriate conduct with a student.
Andrew Metters also worked as a part-time employee for the county's emergency management department. News4Jax reporter Brianna Brownlee is joining us now. And Brianna, we reached out to the Camden County School District for more information, but still haven't heard back.
That is correct. We reached out earlier this morning, haven't had a response just yet. Now we are working to find out exactly where did Andrew Metters work and exactly what grade level. We are also still trying to find out exactly the extent of the inappropriate conduct with the student. Now, what we do know is that he's relieved of all responsibilities with the school system pending the investigation. Now, Metters faces felony charges of sexual assault, and Georgia law recognizes sexual assault by persons with supervisory or disciplinary authority as a felony. Now, this is regardless of age. Metters' arrest follows a multi-agency investigation with the Kingsland Police Department and the St. Mary's Police Department. According to his arrest report, he was having an inappropriate relationship with a student, and Camden County Sheriff Kevin Chaney stated that his priority is the safety and trust of the students, staff, and community. He tells News4Jax his office will conduct a thorough investigation while working with other agencies. Now, Camden County Administrator Sean Boatwright sent us this statement. It reads, "We are aware of the arrest and are treating this situation with the seriousness it warrants. We are fully cooperating with law enforcement and supporting the investigative process. The safety and well-being of our community remains our top priority." Now, Metters has been fired from his part-time job, and there are still many questions surrounding this case, and we will continue to follow. In studio, Brianna Brownlee, Channel 4, the local station.
A high school teacher is behind bars at this hour, charged with having sex with a student in his classroom.
The incident allegedly happened at J.C. Bermuda's Doral Senior High School.
That's where we find Ari Otzer, who has the details for us. He is live this evening. Ari.
Well, Juwan, the details on the arrest report from Miami-Dade Schools Police are just too graphic for me to describe fully. We can just say that according to police, another teacher walked into this man's classroom after school and discovered him having sex with a 17-year-old girl right there on his desk.
Good afternoon, Mr. Villar.
Wearing a suicide prevention vest, Edion VR appeared in bond court where the arresting officer explained the felony charges to the judge.
Based on the interview with the victim, she told me that they were having sex 2 to 3 times per week in his classroom for over a month.
He was a very good teacher. So it was very surprising when I saw his mugshot, and it was I was just shocked because he doesn't seem like the type of person to do anything like that, especially during school hours inside of school.
After school today, students seemed uniformly shocked by the news, especially the kids who had VR for science class. And you thought he was a good teacher?
Yeah, he was really nice and everything. He was a really good teacher. He teaches the class really good and everything, but I didn't actually expect that. It did shock me, honestly.
What did you think of him as a teacher?
He was one of my favorite teachers. I never saw it coming.
As you'd expect, parents are disgusted.
Horrible.
He said, "It's horrible. I have a daughter here who's 15. The school district issued a statement saying, in part, this type of behavior will not be tolerated as it runs contrary to the professional conduct we expect from all employees. The district has initiated employment termination proceedings and will ensure the individual is precluded from seeking future employment with the district." So VR has been teaching in Miami-Dade County Public Schools since 2022 with no disciplinary issues whatsoever. In this case, police say he groomed his victim with flattery and a lot of attention until a normal student-teacher relationship became a sexual relationship. We're live in Doral. Ari Otzer, NBC6 News.
Teacher in Douglas County in jail, charged with sexual assault of a child.
So now investigators reaching out to the public to see if there are any other victims who are willing to come forward. Fox 31's Jim Hooley joins us live from Douglas County with the details, what we know so far about the situation. Jim.
Andrew, good morning. This is obviously very alarming for parents down here with students in the schools. And investigators say that they're concerned that there may be more victims out there because this teacher, worked at several schools here throughout the county and throughout the district. Here's the very latest that we have on the investigation from Douglas County Sheriff's Office this morning. And this is the teacher under arrest this morning. He's 49-year-old David Field. Field is from Littleton. He's been arrested on 2 counts of sexual assault on a child by someone in a position of trust. This investigation was conducted by the Special Victims Unit of the Sheriff's Department here in Dougco. Field was hired by Douglas County Schools in 2014. He most recently was the teacher over at Roxborough Intermediate School, and he's currently being held here at the detention center here in Douglas County. He's being held on a no bond hold. And we understand from investigators that he also worked as a substitute teacher, a sub, at various locations, various schools throughout the district over the past couple of years. So that's where the concern is, that in fact he had a possibility of having contact with many students during that time. So investigators are asking that if you know that your child had Field in any way, shape, or form, had any contact with them physically or perhaps on social media as well, talk to your child. It's very sensitive, very difficult, we know, but obviously try to have a talk with them, see if there's any information. If you have any information whatsoever that could help with the investigation, please contact the Douglas County Sheriff's Office. In Castle Rock at the Sheriff's Office this morning, I'm Jim Hooley, Fox 31.
New at 6, an administrator at the Contra Costa School of Performing Arts is in jail tonight, accused of having sex with a student. Some parents say they're not surprised. One parent claims she reported suspicious behavior months ago. Here's NBC's Jody Hernandez.
He was a little too chummy with the girls, so I'm not surprised, and my child is not surprised.
His boundaries are completely off, but it felt like everything was kind of swept under the rug, like nobody cared.
Parents at Contra Costa School of the Performing Arts say something always seemed off about school administrator Gerard Flaherty.
The person in question had sort of a creepy vibe about him, and I also, along with my daughter, saw him escort at least one or two different teen girls to their vehicles in the middle of the school day. And that to me was a red flag, and I actually told my daughter to stay away from him.
This morning, the school notified families that the school's climate and culture supervisor was arrested yesterday by Walnut Creek Police for allegedly having sex with an underage student.
I was very angry. I was infuriated.
Antoinette Watkins says her daughter told her about an inappropriate relationship that the kids were talking about 2 months ago.
They were talking about how Mr. Flaherty was in a relationship with a senior, present day in a relationship. And they were talking about how he has a wife and kids at home.
Watkins says she immediately went to the principal, but was brushed off.
The principal told me that this was a lie and that this wasn't happening.
We reached out to the school's executive director, who said privacy laws prevent them from discussing the case, but they say the employee has been put on leave. In a written statement, she said creating a safe learning environment for our students is the top priority.
I am so sad for the victim. I'm going to guess that there might be more than one at this point because so many names are flying around.
Parents say kids are hurting. They say the school has always been a special place for young performers and artists, but has struggled the past few years with low enrollment and alleged mismanagement. It's scheduled to close for good at the end of the school year.
These kids are already going through a form of trauma because of the way the school is closing, and had this be the way we end our school year is just really, really unfortunate.
Flaherty is being held at the Martinez jail with no bail. Police say they will give the case to the district attorney tomorrow. They're urging anyone with information to come forward. In Contra Costa County, Jody Hernandez, NBC Bay Area News.
We have an update today on a safety alert after a former athletics director at a charter school in Miami Shores was arrested last year.
He was accused of having an inappropriate relationship with a student. Local 10's Leanne Motohong is live in Miami with the plea deal he took today. Leanne.
The state agreed to drop one count of sexual activity with a minor in exchange for him pleading guilty to the remaining charge. That was offenses against students by an authority figure. Let's take you to some video. Jose Glenn Rodriguez Vasquez, he was arrested back in December of 2023. He worked as a substitute teacher at Doctors Charter School of Miami Shores and was later named the athletics director. He was accused of having a sexual relationship with a student at the high school. According to documents from his initial arrest, a student was seen repeatedly skipping class to go to his classroom despite the fact that she had no assigned classes with him. Police questioned the student, who said Rodriguez Vasquez made sexual comments towards her, and phone records showed phone calls and text exchanges between the two. He was arrested and also fired from that school. Now, Vasquez Rodriguez was in court today to plead guilty. This was the result of a months-long negotiation between the state and the defense, and something the victim and her family were made aware of ahead of time. The victim's father did join the hearing today via Zoom, but declined to make a statement. As for Rodriguez-Vasquez, he was sentenced to 364 days in the county jail, 2 years of community control, that means a GPS monitor, and 10 years of reporting probation. He's not required to register as a sex offender, but must take a sex offender program. His attorney says he believed that this sentence was fair, and the judge warned him about what's at stake should he violate that probation.
You get rearrested. If you do anything that prompts the state of Florida to file an affidavit against you and they prove that you violated your probation by a preponderance of the evidence, you're facing up to 15 years in state prison. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Right, and do you still wish to plead guilty?
Yes, Your Honor.
We hope that if there was any trauma to her, that it will be taken care of. He'll do whatever it takes to assist in that area, and then they'll both move on with their lives.
So among other conditions, Rodriguez-Vasquez must forfeit any teaching credentials and is not allowed to be anywhere near children unsupervised unless they're his own. The victim, we should mention, also filed a lawsuit against the Miami-Dade County School Board, the charter school, and Rodriguez-Vasquez, and that lawsuit is still pending. We're live in Miami. I'm Leanne Morejon, Local 10 News.
Leanne, thank you. A teacher at Pinellas Prep Academy is facing charges after authorities say he tried to show a 9-year-old child sexually explicit images. Lee Hughes was a third-grade teacher at Pinellas Prep. We're showing you his mugshot because of his position of power in relation to children. Prosecutors say he was talking with an undercover officer. They say he made plans to sexually abuse the undercover's 9-year-old child. Authorities say he sent explicit images and planned to meet up with the undercover officer when he was finally arrested. Pinellas Prep says Hughes has been fired.
A federal grand jury in Austin charged a former Austin ISD teacher of having child sexual abuse material. Now, according to the federal government, Carl Inman had batches of downloads between December 2024 and January 2025. Those files included images of an infant and multiple children engaging in sexual activities. Inman is charged with 1 count of possession of child pornography and 1 count of receipt of child pornography. If convicted, he faces up to 20 years in federal prison.
Former Central Iowa middle school teacher has admitted to having a sexual relationship with a student there. 32-year-old Samantha Meyer Davis of Rutland, Iowa, admitted to sexual exploitation of a child on April 30th. At her plea hearing in federal court, she admitted that between May of 2022 and November of 2023, she had an illicit relationship with a student who was 14 years old when it began. She also admitted to disseminating and exhibiting obscene material to the teen, who was a student at Humboldt High School while she was a teacher at Humboldt Middle School. She's no longer employed by the district.
To attend, a former Lewisburg high school teacher accused of having a relationship with a student has been arrested. 31-year-old Natalia Wright is charged with fondling by person of position of trust. Court documents say she was spotted kissing and making out with the student in parking lots in Hernando. The affidavit says her husband recorded her admitting to kissing the student while she was tutoring the young man at home. Wright was allowed to resign April 3rd.
We're learning new information tonight about a Fresno Unified substitute teacher now out of jail after being arrested for sex charges. Investigators say the victims of 43-year-old Carlos Gonzalez span at least 2 counties, and they believe there could be more. Thanks for joining us tonight for Action News Live at 5. I'm Warren Armstrong.
And I'm Graciela Moreno. We're live on ABC 30, Hulu Live, and wherever you stream. Action News reporter Brisa Colon is live outside of the Fresno County Sheriff's Office headquarters with the latest on the arrest and the warning to parents tonight. Brisa.
Warren and Graciela, Carlos Gonzalez was able to be released from jail yesterday afternoon after he paid the standard 10% of his bail that was set at $80,000. Now we are learning that he taught at several schools all across the Fresno Unified School District in grades ranging from high school down to elementary school. A Valley substitute teacher is a free man after being arrested for attempting to meet a child for sex. 43-year-old Carlos Gonzalez was arrested Tuesday and faces 2 felony counts. The Fresno County Sheriff's Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force, alongside Homeland Security, conducted a weeks-long investigation, intercepting an attempted meetup and arresting Gonzalez in a public place. They were able to find a work badge identifying him as a substitute teacher with the Fresno Unified School District, working with kids as young as elementary school.
We know that he had access to many campuses, obviously thousands of kids.
Detectives uncovered that Gonzalez used the instant messaging app Kik to contact at least one of his victims.
The predators like it because they can remain somewhat anonymous. They don't have to have their phone number attached. They can use a screen name, and that is a way that they could try and reach out and prey on children.
During this arrest, authorities were made aware of a second victim in Visalia, a 14-year-old girl he was trying to meet in person sometime this week. Visalia Unified tells Action News he was never employed by their district. Still, it's unclear if either of these victims were students of his.
These predators, they're casting lines every single day, just hoping to get one on the hook. And so if he thinks he's got somebody, he's going to make the drive. We've had people in the past come all the way from Stockton to Fresno thinking that they were going to meet up with a child for sexual purposes.
In a statement to Action News, Fresno Unified says Gonzalez was immediately blocked from their system. And Gonzalez is facing charges in both Visalia as well as Fresno, and he is expected to appear in court in both of those cities in the next 2 months. Reporting in downtown Fresno, I'm Brisa Colon, ABC 30, Action News.
Former teacher is now facing charges accused of having an inappropriate relationship with a middle school student. 27-year-old Eduardo Landino was a math teacher at West Hall Middle School in Hall County. He's accused of using phone calls, text messages, social media, and conversations at school to actually groom the student for sex acts, allegedly. Officials say Landino resigned from his position in March when deputies first opened up this investigation, and tonight he's at the Hall County Jail being held without bond.
Some tough information to bring you in this next story. A former teacher in Loudoun County is being held without bond on soliciting a minor and child pornography charges. The sheriff's office is now looking for possible victims. 35-year-old Nicholas Zimmerman taught at St. Veronica's Catholic School in Chantilly for a decade. 10 years he taught there. He started in August of 2015 and worked at the school until his arrest last month. The Loudoun County Sheriffs didn't say if any of Zimmerman's students are connected to these charges. The department does want to hear from anyone else who may be a victim in this case.
Right now, Pinellas Park man is facing charges accused of sexually battering a child. Investigators say Joshua Tybeck assaulted the 6-year-old child, a family friend, in his home back in 2020. He also worked at Morgan Fitzgerald Middle School as a plant operator. That is similar to a custodian. He is now in jail. Investigators say if anyone believes Tybeck had inappropriate contact with others, they should come forward. Meantime, the Pinellas County School District also sent us this statement saying the charges, quote, allegedly occurred more than 5 years prior to his employment, hired as a nighttime custodian in October of 2023. Tybeck cleared all background screenings and requirements, but at this moment, he is no longer employed by the school district.
Minneapolis Public Schools fired an elementary teacher who is now facing more than a dozen child pornography charges. As Jonah Kaplan reports, his arrest last week took place only steps away from a school.
There is a lot in this criminal complaint. It is graphic, it is disturbing, but one anecdote we can share according to these court documents, one of Preston Palmer's students recognized his teacher as he was being taken away in handcuffs. This is video of Preston Palmer's arrest at Brackett Park in South Minneapolis. It was posted by a self-described predator poacher. According to prosecutors, that person called Minneapolis Park Police after scheming to record Palmer's confession in what Palmer thought was a private conversation. Court documents describe Palmer admitting to possessing more than 1,000 illicit videos on multiple devices, including one he called a pedophone. Investigators say Palmer even talked about which students he wanted to see naked. Minneapolis Public Schools confirmed to WCCO Palmer was fired last Friday, 2 days after his arrest. An MPS response to our data request showed he worked as a substitute teacher at 5 MPS schools, including Sullivan, which is a stone's throw away from Brackett Park. Palmer made his first court appearance on Monday. He whimpered as the judge set his bond at $250,000. Jonah Kaplan, WCCO News.
Palmer could be released at a lower bond if he agrees to certain conditions, including home monitoring and no access to the internet. He is due back in court next month.
Up in northeast Nebraska tonight, a now former school employee there is in quite a bit of trouble after deputies accuse her of sexually assaulting a student. Court records show that 34-year-old Brittany Stanek, who worked for Bancroft Rosalie Community Schools for 10 years as a teacher and then most recently as a success coordinator, is facing 3 different charges. According to court documents, this all came to light after Stanek is accused of buying alcohol and nicotine pouches for 2 students. Deputies later got their hands on text messages between her and those kids, which they say implied Stanek had been having sex with one of them. She was arrested 2 weeks ago at her home. She has since bonded out of jail. We've learned she resigned from her role and is no longer an employee with the district.
A former Sabine Parish teacher is facing charges after being accused of having a sexual relationship with a 16-year-old. This is Javante Emmanuel Mims. Sabine Parish deputies say it happened last year at Pleasant Hill School while he was a teacher and coach. Mims allegedly sent his student inappropriate messages and had sex with her at least 10 times away from the school campus. Mims is also a youth minister at a church in Natchitoches. Mims is no longer employed with the Sabine Parish School Board.
Former school principal and teacher in Delaware has pleaded guilty to child rape. Tasha Purnell was charged with sexually abusing a student under the age of 16 while a teacher at Stanton Middle School from 2010 to 2014. Despite the charges, Purnell, who also goes by the last name Oliver, was hired by AI DuPont Middle School in 2020. She was placed on administrative leave in 2023, then terminated after her arrest last year. Sentencing is scheduled for August.
It's the fall from grace of the Teacher of the Year.
I'm deeply ashamed of my actions and the harm that I inflicted.
36-year-old Jacqueline Ma taught elementary school outside San Diego. In 2022, she won the title of San Diego County Teacher of the Year. But less than a year later, the highly praised teacher was arrested for sexually abusing a 12-year-old in her classroom. His parents thought the boy was at an after-school basketball program. Prosecutors say she also preyed on an 11-year-old.
I disgraced the teaching profession.
At her sentencing, she stood in shackles and tearfully read her apology.
Boys this age should be playing outside, feeling carefree, and enjoying their last few years of childhood. And instead, I thrusted them into adulthood.
It's a despicable conduct.
San Diego County District Attorney Summer Stephan. Can you just tell me how egregious her actions were?
This is the ultimate betrayal of trust. This is a teacher, and she used her position to groom these boys over a long period of time.
I'm deeply ashamed of my actions.
The former teacher was sentenced to 30 years to life in prison.
Teacher's aide at a Fishersville alternative school has been arrested and fired following allegations that she engaged in inappropriate relationships with students. According to the Augusta County Sheriff's Office, 23-year-old Beyonce Mass of Stanton is charged with 2 counts of indecent liberties with a child by a custodian. This is all in connection with an investigation launched last December into reported sexual relationships between Mass and male students at Valley Academy Regional Alternative School. She's held without bond at Middle River Regional Jail, and the Sheriff's Office says it is still investigating.
A first-grade teacher in Hamilton County has been indicted on child sexual abuse charges. Good evening, and thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Kim Chapman-Whitfield.
And I'm Josh Rowe. This according to the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office. This is a picture of the teacher, Dwayne Sanders, archived by the Wayback Machine. Hamilton County Sheriff's Office says while investigating, several children were identified as potential victims.
News Channel 9's Jacqueline Davis is working to learn more. Jacqueline, how is the district responding to this news?
Kim, Josh, parents are kind of frustrated with this whole situation, but first grade teacher Dwayne Sanders says that he has been suspended now with no pay while investigators for police and the DA are trying to figure out his possible sex crimes with young students here at Wallace A. Smith Elementary. Parents we spoke to this afternoon couldn't believe an employee here is facing these kinds of charges. 2 weeks ago, school officials were told by the Department of Children's Services they opened an investigation. According to Hamilton County School spokesman Steve Doremus, the DA met with school leaders laying out what they knew. Investigators say there could be more victims in this case. The district said in a statement, quote, "These allegations are devastating. We are heartbroken at the thought of any school system employee who would harm a child." Now, Sanders' bond has been set at $1.3 million, and he is being booked into Hamilton County Jail System later this afternoon. I'm in Ottawa. Jacqueline Davis reporting for News Channel 9.
Our Jacqueline, thank you. According to the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office, Sanders will be in court on March 29th. Taking a look at how the Hamilton County teachers and parents can help their children after deputies arrested one teacher they say sexually abused students. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Kim Chapman-Whitfield.
And I'm Josh Rowe. Yesterday we told you about Dwayne Sanders, a first grade teacher at Wallace A. Smith Elementary School, was arrested and charged by the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office. In the past 2 hours, we've learned what those charges are. They include 5 counts of continuous sexual child abuse, 4 counts of aggravated sexual battery, and 1 count of aggravated child rape. Deputies say they have identified several children as potential victims.
Sam Pena breaks down what recovery could look like for the kids involved.
A heartbreaking revelation for parents at Wallace A. Smith Elementary after first grade teacher Dwayne Sanders was indicted on charges of child sexual abuse. Now we're working to learn how parents and teachers can help their children heal.
It's hard to hear, it's hard to think about.
A difficult conversation to navigate.
We really need to focus on these kids, on these parents, these families, and these teachers.
The indictment of first grade teacher Dwayne Sanders for child sexual abuse sent shockwaves through the school district and brings to light an issue child therapist Elliot Pinsley says requires time and patience.
It's going to be a challenge for the teachers to be the primary flag bearers for making sure these children feel safe.
Pinsley says communication between parents and teachers is critical to help victims heal, since distrust can linger after cases of abuse by a teacher.
Our responsibility to create safe spaces for kids to say, I feel uncomfortable.
Kristen Pavlik-McCauley with the Children's Advocacy Center in Hamilton County says resources for children suffering from abuse are needed more than ever.
Our organization provides services to kiddos who are alleged victims of abuse of all kinds.
She says the county saw 887 cases of child abuse last year, a crisis they hope to address with resources like free therapy sessions for student victims.
Validate them, call them brave, tell them they're doing something really significant because they are.
But while available through CACH, statewide, these resources are scarce. The Association of American Medical Colleges says Tennessee only has 1 mental health professional per 740 residents.
That's frightening. That's really frightening.
A crisis Pinsley says, if addressed properly, can provide safe havens for our most vulnerable children.
If we get the right supports and mental health resources in place, we can help people heal and move forward in a positive way.
Reporting in Chattanooga, Sam Pena, News Channel 9.
And Sanders' bond has been set at $1.3 million. He's set to appear in court in 1 week. 5 more children in Hamilton County have accused a former elementary school teacher of sexual abuse.
But defense attorneys are now calling for a judge to dismiss an indictment against that teacher. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Josh Rowe.
And I'm Kim Chapman-Whitfield. A former Wallace A. Smith elementary teacher, Dwayne Sanders, was arraigned on new charges, including continuous sexual child abuse and sexual battery this morning.
Sanders received 4 similar charges earlier this year. During a June court hearing, a detective said 12 students accused Sanders of abuse during the last school year alone. News Channel 9 Sam Pena, what we learned about the suspect in the courtroom today and what will come next.
The severity is something this court has never seen. Those are the words of one Hamilton County judge as Dwayne Sanders faces 5 new victims and sexual abuse charges.
They're not going to sexually assault children that don't like them. It's called grooming.
In June, Hamilton County DA Cody Wamp said it was only a matter of time.
This is what sex offenders do.
Until Dwayne Sanders would face more charges.
10 counts in the first indictment, there are 19 in the second indictment.
Now, 5 former students of Sanders. The state says he's sexually abused, bringing the total to 9, and with more possible.
There were more children that made allegations. However, due to the sensitivity of this case, the state did give victims and families opportunities should they decide they did not want to participate.
The new indictment includes the previous victims and charges, leading Sanders' attorney to ask for the first indictment to be dismissed.
If the state can't proceed under both indictments, I'm not sure why they both need to still be active.
Arguing that jurors could accidentally see 29 charges instead of 19.
Whether it's 10 or 19 or 29, that's a lot.
Judge Steelman allowed both indictments to stay while the state works to complete their investigation.
For safety purposes of making sure that nothing is lost or misplaced or anything like that, that the original indictment stay in place.
Into a case that Steelman says he's never seen before.
I spent 12 years almost in the DA's office and now the year 17 on the bench and haven't had a case like this.
In Chattanooga, Sam Pena, News Channel 9.
Online records show Sanders volunteered at 4 other Hamilton County schools before he became a teacher at Wallace A. Smith. Tonight, questions about the admissibility of children's testimony in the sex abuse case of a former Hamilton County teacher.
Dwayne Sanders taught first grade at Wallace A. Smith Elementary, among other schools. His trial was set to begin August 12th.
But this could change after a motion to determine whether videotaped interviews with the alleged victims are admissible. Here's A.C. Barker with an update.
More than 1 year after a former Hamilton County school teacher was accused of sexually abusing children, a court hearing Monday discussed if there was enough evidence for this case to move forward.
The court was provided the forensic interviews relative to the hearings that this court are conducting this week. The state will be showing portions of each video.
Prosecutors played one of those taped interviews in the courtroom. This after Dwayne Sanders is accused of committing 19 sex crimes against 9 different children. We were unable to obtain footage of the video. That's per the judge's orders of protecting the child's identity. Forensic interview coordinator Brenda Reed Brown says in her first interview with the child, he did not disclose any information regarding abuse.
Yes, children who often, male children have a very difficult time disclosing. Children who have a very personal relationship with an alleged offender, they have a difficult time disclosing.
But after asking to come back and talk to Reed Brown a second time, video shows the child saying, quote, "Mr. Sanders accidentally touched my private spots, the one I used to go to the bathroom." The child then indicating it had happened more than once, saying he would pretend to ignore it. The child's mother then taking the stand, saying her son brought this to her attention when she asked about a hole in his underwear.
He was 7 at the time, actually, and he said, "Oh, yes, I know about that hole, Mommy. That's where Mr. Sanders touches my penis."
The mother said she then filed a report with the child abuse hotline and called the police the next morning. She says this situation has impacted her son's life at school.
He's lost a lot of friends. He has no one to blame with.
When he's at school, he has no one to play with. Is that what you said?
Yeah, because all his friends are not there anymore.
What came into question following this tape is whether or not Reed Brown followed protocol when asking the child these questions. That answer remains unknown as this discussion is set to resume on Tuesday. I'm A.C. Barker, Fox Chattanooga.
Now, Sanders did not enter a plea when he appeared in court back in April of last year.
A North Suburban elementary school teacher was ordered held in jail after appearing in court today on child pornography charges. The Lake County, Illinois Sheriff's Office says that Todd Fowler took photos posted to social media by area students and their parents and shared them with pedophiles around the country. Fowler teaches at Woodland Elementary in Gurnee and lives in Grace Lake. We have reached out to Woodland for more information and a statement and have not heard back.
Just into the newsroom, a 27-year-old Hillsborough County teacher is facing multiple charges tonight. That's after investigators say Brooke Anderson had a sexual relationship with a student. Now, this allegedly started last year with explicit text that led to sexual activity, including in her classroom. The sheriff's office wants anyone with more information to please reach out.
A professor at James Madison University is in a jail cell instead of a classroom, accused by Charlottesville police of having child pornography after a months-long investigation. Thank you for joining us. I'm Chelsea Church.
And I'm Caleb Peak. The professor, who's listed on the JMU History Department's website as chair of the Latin American and Caribbean Studies program at the university, is facing 3 charges related to possessing child pornography.
Our digital content producer, Michael Russo, has been looking into this case and is live in the Digital Content Center with the latest details. Michael, what can you tell us?
Well, Chelsea and Caleb, William Van Norman, a 68-year-old Charlottesville man, was taken into custody Tuesday after detectives with the Charlottesville Police Department executed search and arrest warrants for him at a Bowling Avenue address. This all happened after CPD received a tip back in February regarding alleged possession of child pornography in Charlottesville. Van Norman has been charged with 1 count of possession of child pornography, as well as 2 charges for second or subsequent violations of child porn possession. He had a bond hearing in Charlottesville Juvenile and Domestic Relations Court on Wednesday, and he's currently being held at Albemarle Charlottesville Regional Jail. In a statement to WHSV, JMU spokesperson Mary Hope Fass tells us, quote, "The university is aware of the charges and the individual has been placed on leave. As we learn any new details, we'll share those updates on air and online at WHSV.com. Chelsea and Caleb.
All right, Michael, thank you.
It was a rain this afternoon on multiple charges. Fox News' Camille Amiri joining us live from Highland Park Justice Center there with the very latest. Camille.
Yeah, we just wrapped up a press conference at 4 o'clock here at the police department. We learned a lot about this case, absolutely horrific details. We're going to take a look at some video of the arraignment and the picture of Vincent Weaver, the 29-year-old teacher who allegedly sexually assaulted a 12-year-old student over a 4-month period of time, happening at George Washington Carver Academy on school grounds, according to police, happening, like I said, over a 4-month period. The initial tip came in. The victim initially reported it on May 15th. And then they were able to arrest him literally 24 hours later on the 16th. He had been suspended from school. The teacher had been suspended from teaching on May 2nd on an unrelated incident when police say that he had a sex toy fall out of his school bag. So keep in mind, he'd been suspended May 2nd. Then the complaint came in May 15th. He had not been in the school since then, and then arrested on May 16th. Take a listen to the charges.
Today, the suspect, Vincent Weaver, was charged with criminal sexual conduct in the first degree, 1 count, 2 counts of criminal sexual conduct in the second degree, and misdemeanor indecent exposure. He was given a bond today by the 30th District Court of $250,000 cash or surety, and in the event that he is able to bond out, he's required to wear a GPS tether.
And interesting fact about this teacher. He's a dance teacher, and there was a performance on May 16th that he was a big part of, the police said, and he was told he could not come because, of course, he had been suspended on May 2nd. But police say he dressed up like an elderly woman, wearing a wig and glasses and a mask and heavy clothes to disguise himself just so he could go to that dance performance on May 16th, and that's when he was arrested. Of course, we're going to have a lot more on this story coming up at 6 and 10, but we do want to tell you that police believe there could be more victims, and if that is the case, they want them to come forward and call Highland Park Police. Reporting live in Highland Park, Camille Amiri, Fox 2 News.
Well, with what you just said, I'm sure a lot of people at home are wondering exactly what they just heard. Very odd. But with that being said, do police suspect that this was happening, these alleged acts, at the school?
Yeah, I mean, what was one of the questions we did ask, they didn't want to talk about whether the student was a male or female. We did get the age out as 12 years old, as I reported, but saying that this happened on school grounds. I don't know if it happened in between classes, after school, but there was definitely a grooming process. This teacher, police say, was very well liked, very popular, very nice, very trusted. And of course, we do know from covering these stories that that's often how they gain the trust of these students, because they are just everybody's friend and so well liked. And of course, you saw in that mugshot too, the flowery blouse. I believe that was part of his costume when he was dressed as an elderly woman to go to this dance performance. So just a lot of layers to this one. Of course, the victim, how brave this victim is to come forward to tell his or her parents, and then for them to report. And police are really hoping that if there are other people out there watching, that they do the same thing. Taryn, back to you.
Yes, if there are more victims out there, they must come forward. Thank you so much, Camille.
Yet another Oklahoma teacher accused of being inappropriate with a student. Criminal charges were just filed against the middle school teacher.
News 4's Tanner De Leon details the allegations that have now gotten her banned from the classroom for life.
Now former 7th grade math teacher at Anadarko Middle School, Jacqueline Stone, arrested and charged with not 1, not 2, but 9 different counts of lewd or indecent acts for a child under 16. Yet another Oklahoma teacher charged for having sexual relations with a student. The latest, 26-year-old Jacqueline Stone. New court documents show the 7th grade middle school teacher engaged in sexual acts with a 13-year-old for several months. Among the accusations, forcible kissing, touching, and forcing the student to touch her. Leaders with Anadarko Public Schools wouldn't go on camera but sent News 4 a statement saying in part, quote, on April 16, 2025, parents of an Anadarko Public School student made school officials aware of what they felt were inappropriate actions between a teacher and their middle school aged child. Going on to say the district immediately placed Stone on administrative leave. They contacted police and DHS, and after an investigation, she was arrested and charged with 9 counts of lewd or indecent acts to a child under 16. The district telling us she is no longer a teacher with the district, saying, quote, our #1 goal is to always protect the children that have been entrusted to us by their parents. On top of that, Stone is now one of 7 teachers the State Department of Education has banned from teaching for life. It's all part of a new agency policy. State Superintendent Ryan Walters says teachers who are banned are placed into a national database to notify other states and school systems. In Anadarko, Tanner De Leon, Oklahoma's News 4.
All right, Tanner. Now, Stone has pleaded not guilty. She's out of jail on bond. Her next court appearance is set to take place in August.
We are learning more about a Nacogdoches ISD teacher who was arrested for not reporting child sex abuse allegations against her husband. According to the arrest affidavit, 46-year-old Camille Lanier refused to report the allegations against her husband, right there, 44-year-old Nikolai Lanier. The affidavit says a victim came forward with the allegations back in December. Camille allegedly confronted Nikolai and withheld details from the incident from investigators, citing religious reasons. It also says Camille pressured the victim to stop speaking about the incident and stop seeking legal action. Camille was arrested and charged with endangering a child on March 31st, but has since been released. Nikolai Lanier remains behind bars on 4 aggravated sexual assault of child charges.
Parents and school officials in Middlesex County, New Jersey are devastated to learn a 50-year-old teacher and coach of high school girls soccer team is charged with child sex crimes. And police say some of the crimes happened on the grounds of St. Thomas Aquinas High School. New Jersey reporter Tony Yates live in Edison with more. Tony.
Yeah, David, Alex Palomares, according to the Middlesex County Prosecutor's Office, was in possession of less than 1,000 images of child sexual assault, when, of course, we know that even one image for something like that is one too many. A search of his home, investigators say they found multiple electronic devices, including devices that can record people without them knowing. They also say that Palomares admitted to wearing a body camera to record some of his victims. 50-year-old Axel Palomares is now in custody, facing numerous charges, crimes against children. The Middlesex County Prosecutor's Office says from April of 2022 to at least March of this year, the now former Spanish teacher and soccer coach at St. Thomas Aquinas High School in Edison photographed and filmed the images of undergarment-clad parts of children and students, those children completely oblivious that an adult was doing that to them. The 10-page complaint against Palomares describes, among many details, his recording female students in compromising positions at school and also at Bridgewater and Short Hills malls. It says CCTV cameras at Bridgewater Mall recorded Palomares one day in March spending long periods of time in several restrooms in the mall and in a department store. Authorities were apparently tipped off by one of the apps they say Palomares was using to talk with others about his exploits and to share the unlawful materials. The Diocese of Metuchen says there was nothing in Palomares' employment record to indicate a cause for concern, releasing a statement in part that says he was subject to the required criminal background checks and was up to date and in compliance with all the policies and training requirements mandated by the school and the diocese. We are devastated to learn that some of our students' privacy may have been violated by this sickening conduct. Jacqueline Casey proudly says her daughters attended St. Thomas Aquinas, her granddaughter does now, and that justice needs to be served.
To me, somebody just doesn't do this under clear blue. This has been going on with, I think, the individual way back when. And, of course, they didn't catch it, and so this is what we're faced with.
Now, the school says it will continue to cooperate with this investigation. Palomares is due in court this Friday. And coming up at 5:30, we speak to an expert who says parents need to talk to their kids who may have been a part of this devastating incident that happened at the school. For now, we're live here in Edison, New Jersey. Tony Yates, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
It was an emotional courtroom in Union County as Anthony Davis entered and pleaded guilty to all charges he faced and is now behind bars for at least the next 25 years. Anthony Davis emotionless during his hearing as he put his plea to the court. Davis coming clean, pleading guilty to 2 counts of rape, sexual battery, and unlawful sex with a minor. The victim when this happened, a 12-year-old girl. Davis taking full responsibility for crimes committed during his time as a girls softball coach in Richwood. The 12-year-old victim was one of his players.
Child sex offenders look for positions that have access to children, and in this case, he was a girls softball coach, which gave him access to a lot of children. Now, he took advantage of this child and repeatedly did so. So to get him, remove him from not only that position, but from society, I think is a good thing.
The victim and her family were in the courtroom. In an effort not to identify her, we did not record them. A victim advocate read a statement on behalf of the victim's mother.
This whole situation has been a nightmare and I cannot seem to wake up from. We trusted AJ in the beginning not only as a coach, but as a friend. We had him over at our house and we had been at their house. What he did to our daughter has completely shaken us to the core. Our daughter has undoubtedly been changed forever. Not only did AJ take her innocence away, he created emotions that she will deal with and live with the rest of her life. To think of a child in that way is just beyond disgusting. We trusted him so many times with our daughter and he took full advantage of a 12-year-old little girl. I know in time that I need to forgive him for what he has done, but I am not there yet.
Davis was sentenced to at least 25 years in prison. Once paroled, he will be required to register as a Tier 3 sex offender for life.
Grooms not only the child, but also them in terms of, so they wouldn't suspect him and continue this relationship. It's devastating to them.
We did ask Anthony Davis's attorney to talk after, and he said no. On your side, Nick Veland, Fox 28 News.
A Pasco County elementary school teacher is in jail tonight and on administrative leave. The Florida Department of Law Enforcement says he was downloading and transferring sexual images of children. For more than 20 years, Joe Watson taught music to children in Pasco County and worked as a summer Bible school teacher at a Carrollwood church. Aaron Parsegian joins us live from outside of FDLE's Tampa unit. And Aaron, tonight they say the crimes he's charged with appear to have happened only online.
Yeah, this investigation is ongoing, Courtney, but FDLE says at this point they are confident that Watson was not a, quote, hands-on offender, and these charges are unrelated to his work at the school.
When you hear as a school teacher, it makes you drop. Your heart drops, your jaw drops, because our children are there.
For more than 2 decades, Joe Watson taught music to children in Pasco County, most recently at Oakstead Elementary School in Land O'Lakes, where FDLE went Monday after getting a tip from the National Center of Missing and Exploited Children about a social media account that was downloading and sharing, quote, violent and disgusting images.
Watson cooperated with our agents, and he ultimately admitted to owning the internet account that received and shared the child pornography.
Investigators say Watson was also a choir leader and a summer Bible study teacher at Grace Lutheran Church in Carrollwood. The lead pastor tells us, to their knowledge, he never had any unsupervised interaction with any youth members.
But I'm pretty confident at this point we are able to say that Watson, luckily, thank God, was not a hands-on offender. However, our investigation is still ongoing.
Watson has been placed on administrative leave at the school and is being held in jail on a $120,000 bond. Investigators seized his other electronics for investigation. Attorney General James Uthmeier says, quote, it's hard to find a more depraved example of someone who betrayed the local community's trust.
Child pornography is more than just pornography. Child pornography is the memorialized record of the rape and the brutalization of a child, and in this case, a child that was prepubescent. We trust that the judicial system will ensure a fair result for this community, and we welcome the opportunity to prove this case in court and to hold this offender accountable for his actions.
And Watson is facing a series of charges. If convicted, he faces up to 45 years in prison. Live in Tampa tonight, Aaron Parsegian, 10 Tampa Bay.
We're learning more about a teacher in Chester County charged with dozens of crimes. Police say she had a sexual relationship with a student and gave him drugs. NBC 10's Deanna Durante spoke to the district attorney about their case. She joins us live in Berwyn with more. Deanna, what do you know?
Well, the district attorney tonight saying that this is yet another case that shows how important it is that parents and caregivers check their kids' devices, also the apps that they're using.
Parents and students need to be able to trust that their teachers are going to be providing for students in all the right ways. This is all the wrong ways, and we're going to hold this teacher accountable.
It was Michelle Mercogliano's first year as a teacher at Conestoga High School. The TE School District says she previously worked in elementary education. Court documents say it wasn't long after the year started, Mercogliano obtained a Snapchat handle for a student and began conversations.
We heard from family members that there was a concern that there was a sexual relationship between a student and teacher, and the Trevor Township Police Department dropped everything and they went to work.
Police say Mercogliano would often pick up the teen behind an apartment complex near the high school. They'd then travel to Phoenixville. That's where police say Mercogliano would obtain her medical marijuana. The two would smoke it and then engage in sexual activity. The victim tells police the majority of those interactions happened at a Malvern home. Investigators became aware of the allegations on Monday night. By Tuesday morning, they confiscated Mercogliano's cell phone and say Mercogliano was texting the victim as police were interviewing him about the case.
If you give your child a phone, you are giving the world access to your child, right? And so you need to make sure that you have an ability to see what's going on, not just on social media, but on that phone, right? Because some of these apps are designed to delete things after a day, or to only delete things after seconds.
While there is a warrant for Mercogliano, she's not yet been arraigned.
We learned from her attorney that the defendant had an emergent medical issue. We're able to confirm that, and once she is cleared, she will be promptly taken into custody, and we will be seeking a relatively high bail commensurate with the seriousness of this offense.
The district attorney says that the school district has been cooperating in the case and put the teacher on leave as soon as it became aware of the allegations here. The DA also says not just for you to be monitoring your kids' online activity, but also listen to what they're talking about with other kids. And if you hear something that creates concern, don't hesitate to notify the school district, police, or the state child line.
And first at 10, 8 men under arrest tonight accused of trying to use the internet to exploit children. The suspects were taken into custody after a sting by the Loudoun County Sheriff's Office.
That is our big story tonight at 10. One of those suspects is a local preschool teacher. Shamari Stone is live tonight in Rockville with those details.
Well, tonight, the neighbors who live next to 26-year-old Michael Sherman tell me that they are stunned, surprised by these allegations. He worked in several positions here at the Bender JCC in Rockville, including most recently as a preschool teacher. Some parents are also shocked, and the officials here at the Bender JCC immediately terminated his employment and notified parents after the arrest. The Loudoun County Sheriff's Office arrested Michael Sherman and 7 other suspects on Friday, April 21st, charging them with online solicitation of a minor. In a written statement, the Bender JCC Rockville officials say, in part, Michael Sherman had no previous allegations made against him at the time of his hire. As standard practice for all employees, the Bender JCC conducted regular background checks and screenings during Michael Sherman's employment that did not yield prior misconduct. The statement goes on to say, end quote, the Bender JCC is fully committed to providing a safe environment for children and youth and has had an ongoing partnership with the Center for Hope of LifeBridge Health, which provides regular staff training and review of its child protection policies, end quote. The sheriff's office saying the suspects believe they were communicating with minors under the age of 15 on a variety of chat and social media platforms. Sherman's neighbors are stunned.
I'm surprised. We had no indication that he would do anything like this. I hope that it turns out to be completely false.
Could you describe him for those who don't know? What type of person is he? Have you ever seen him?
He is quiet, keeps to himself, but he's always very friendly, says hello.
Now, we also knocked on the home where Michael Sherman lives, and a man came to the door and says he has no comment about the arrest. As for the Bender JCC, they say that Sherman is prohibited from coming here. As for whether you're in D.C., Maryland, or Virginia, the Loudoun County Sheriff's Office wants to remind parents to actively monitor what your children are doing online and in social media platforms.
Hamilton police arresting a Santa Rosa County teacher and charging him with 24 counts of child porn possession. 55-year-old Jonathan Burchett being held on no bond pending his first court appearance. Now, Santa Rosa County District Schools sending us this statement tonight. It says, quote, at this time, we want to emphasize that the charges filed against Mr. Burchett are not related to his role or duties as an educator. Immediately upon notification of the law enforcement agency conducting the investigation, Mr. Burchett was placed on administrative leave and has not returned to his work site at any point. He submitted his resignation, which was effective May 15, 2025.
Midday, a former Knox County Schools teacher has been sentenced following an investigation into sexual activity involving a minor. Kristen Brown was indicted on 5 counts back in November. Her sentence, 1 year in jail plus probation. We previously told you the investigation found that Brown intentionally exposed a child under the age of 13 to sexual content. This by using an electronic device, sending the material between December of 2023 and March of last year. Knox County Schools previously told us Brown has not worked for the school system since March of last year.
Substitute teacher in the Bridgewater Raynham School District is facing charges of child porn possession. 26-year-old Robert Wood was arrested today at his home. He had worked at the high school and 2 middle schools. The district says there's no evidence any students were involved.
A Columbiana County man who worked in several trusted positions is accused of distributing and possessing child pornography.
42-year-old John M. McFarland, who worked as a corrections officer, a counselor, bus driver, and most recently substitute teacher, is now on leave.
The complaint alleges he sent explicit videos of children as young as infants and searched for disturbing topics. A substitute teacher now facing felony child porn charges. 42-year-old John M. McFarland is accused of transmitting and possessing explicit videos involving kids, some of them infants. McFarland was most recently employed as a substitute with the Columbiana County ESC. An investigation by the Mahoning Valley Human Trafficking Task Force led to his arrest. The criminal complaint alleges on May 5th, McFarland transmitted through email 9 videos which depicted minors, including ones appearing to be under the age of 10, engaging in sexual conduct and sexual acts. Just this week, on May 21st, authorities say McFarland was found with additional videos depicting children, some appearing to be infants and toddlers being sexually assaulted.
and they found in his phone internet history alleged Google searches for student-teacher relationships and Nebraska pedophiles. Investigators also found that in October of 2022, McFarland allegedly transmitted a video depicting a young minor male engaged in sexual conduct via social media. McFarland began working for Columbiana County ESC at the start of this school year in Salem buildings, including Southeast, Buckeye, Salem Riley, and the ESC Opportunity Center. Columbiana County ESC Superintendent Marie Williams says McFarland was immediately placed on leave Wednesday once they were aware of the investigation. She tells us he was never left alone with students and passed background checks when the district hired him.
Father says he wants other parents of potential victims to know that they're not alone. Fox 5's Eric Mock is at Tripp Elementary School tonight in Grayson with why he says the school failed his daughter.
Well, no parent wants to hear that their child's teacher, who they entrust their child to, has been touching them inappropriately. And Brad Miller says what makes this whole situation worse is that he says the school's administration tried to downplay what happened when they first informed his family.
I don't even have words.
That's how disturbed Gwinnett County parent Brad Miller is over this whole situation. Police arrested his child's kindergarten teacher, 29-year-old Brian Hill, and charged him with first-degree cruelty to children and simple battery on May 5th. Miller says Hill touched his daughter inappropriately.
Our trust has been broken.
He was stroking her hair. He drew her close to him in an embrace. And again, this is bizarre behavior.
That's Miller's attorney, Mitch Skandalakis. He says they've discovered that Hill was doing this to Miller's daughter and other female kindergartners in his class since the beginning of the school year. Miller says Tripp Elementary School's principal first let him know in an email on March 31st titled Staffing Update, which only says that Hill resigned and he was being replaced. Then a few days later, Miller says the principal reached out to him and his wife and tried to downplay what happened.
Oh, she just got pat on the head.
But then he says police called him in and showed him surveillance video that showed much more than just patting.
Then he goes, grabs a chair, pulls the chair up right up on my daughter, and then proceeds to fondle her for over 5 minutes.
Miller says he's disgusted by what Hill did and by the school's response.
Something like this should not get downplayed. An adult male touched kindergarten kids, and it's just shattered, all my belief and trust in the system.
We reached out to Gwinnett County Public Schools about this. A spokesperson told us they couldn't share very many details because it's an open criminal investigation. But they did say when they learned what Hill was doing that they immediately notified police and, quote, the teacher was promptly removed from the classroom and did not return to the school.
The damage has been done.
And Miller is encouraging parents of other potential victims to come forward. His attorneys even created an email address where you can reach out if you think your child has been a victim. We'll have that for you on our website and on our Fox Local app. For now, reporting in Gwinnett County, Eric Mock, Fox 5 News.
Eric, thank you.
A former elementary school teacher's trial began today on charges of child sexual abuse. Dwayne Sanders was arrested in March 2023 and charged with 19 counts of sexual crimes involving 9 former students. News 12's Nick Hill has how one admission unraveled a web of disturbing incidents. Nick?
Sanders had taught first graders at Wallace A. Smith Elementary School in Ottawa. Pictures of his classroom shown on Wednesday showed peanut characters and other friendly faces throughout his classroom. However, prosecutors and parents say absolute horror unfolded behind closed doors. We do want to warn you that much of what you're about to hear is disturbing. This is what one mother of a Wallace A. Smith student said her child told them that ultimately led to the arrest of Dwayne Sanders. We're not showing or naming any of the victims or parents. The mother says that this admission was made while putting up laundry, after she discovered a hole in a pair of her child's clothing. She went on to describe how her child seemed to not understand the gravity of the situation.
He said it was an accident?
Wallace A. Smith's principal, Dr. Kelly Wise, said that she was approached by a detective in early March 2023 after a student had come forward alleging abuse. After more families came forward with allegations, Sanders was then suspended.
He said okay. Did he ask you any questions? He just
said, okay.
She testified that one student with allegations of sexual abuse had been personally recommended by Sanders himself to be in his classroom.
Said that he believed could do well in first grade with some additional supports that he could provide, and so we placed in Mr. Sanders' class.
She also recalled an incident earlier in the 2022-23 school year where she said she had noticed a student sitting in Sanders' lap.
I had noticed that he had a student in his lap, and so I had a conversation with him about making sure that he didn't do that, more to protect himself and what, and making sure that we were being appropriate.
Sanders' trial continues into Thursday as the prosecution continues its case. Reporting from the Hamilton County Courts building, Nick Hill, News 12.
New details tonight in the arrest of a UTSA professor. We're learning he is facing charges for allegedly possessing child pornography. FBI agents arrested Zaid Haddad on campus Tuesday. According to the university's website, he's an assistant professor of interdisciplinary studies and curriculum and instruction. According to court records, Haddad is accused of streaming the child sex abuse material from his computer to his TV. Haddad reportedly had links to nearly 200 videos. He's also accused of logging onto Zoom to view the material. He faces up to 20 years in prison if convicted.
Yeah, Lauren, and one of those things about that court appearance is that his wife was also there. The suspect's wife was also there in court this afternoon, and the both of them learning in very real time that if found guilty, how much time he'd be facing behind bars. Today in court, appearing via video monitor, 47-year-old Scott Swartzfeger. He is the Carver Elementary School teacher charged with multiple felony counts of assaulting a child with disabilities and misdemeanor assault charges because the victims were all under the age of 12 years old.
If you were to be convicted of those felonies, you could receive up to 88 months on each of those, as well as 150 days for each assault on a child under 12.
According to warrants, Swartzfeger is charged with committing those offenses on May the 6th with 5 separate students and was arrested Monday. Wake School is telling ABC 11 that Swartzfeger was suspended on May 9th after they were made aware of the offenses. Their policy prevents them from disclosing further information about specifically what may have happened. However, prosecutors allege that several teachers at the school saw Swartzfeger assault the students with special needs.
5 teachers observed the defendant assault each child. The defendant was very talkative, committed to conduct to law enforcement.
The principal then telling the Wake County Sheriff's Office on May 9th and suspending him with pay the very same day. Meanwhile, therapist Dr. Ashley Gilmore has this advice for parents who could find themselves in a similar situation where their child is being harmed. She tells Eyewitness News parents should not carry any guilt or shame about what may have happened.
A big part of this is that parents may feel that there was something that they failed in protecting their children. And this is nothing that can be foreseen. And so to do the best to remove the guilt and shame that they're feeling, to acknowledge their own sadness and confusion and anger around what's going on.
What is yet to be revealed is specifically what allegedly occurred inside of the halls or classroom of Carver Elementary, the very same school where in February of last year, 55-year-old Lori Miller allegedly dragged a student with special needs down the school's hallway. She pleaded guilty earlier this year and was sentenced to probation and community service. For Swartzfeger, the district declining to share further and specific information into what may have happened, citing district policy. Gilmore saying it's okay for parents to have questions.
Definitely talking to administrators at the school that their children go to and letting them know that this is a fear, and how will the administration work to protect their children against acts of violence from the teachers that are in the school.
And this afternoon, Judge Mark Stevens allowed a pretrial release on Scott Swartzfeger, which means that he is allowed to go home today, provided that he will be present for his next court appearance, will be here at Wake County District Court on June the 4th.
Teacher and coach at Knoxville's West High School is charged with multiple counts of statutory rape.
Morristown police took him into custody on Friday afternoon, and 10 News anchor Shay Smith joining us now with details on court records. Shay.
That's right. Morristown police arrested the 32-year-old. His name is Chad Brooks. They arrested him Friday evening. A Knox County grand jury indicted him on 16 counts. Now, those counts include aggravated statutory rape and statutory rape by an authority figure. Back in April, Knox County Schools told us Brooks was put on paid administrative leave because law enforcement was investigating him. Knoxville police say at the same time, the Special Crimes Unit was told Brooks had engaged in inappropriate behavior with past and current students. The indictment says the victim was over the age of 18 but was over the age of 13 but under the age of 18. Half of the counts specify that at the time of the offenses, Brooks was in a position of trust and used his position to rape the victim. All 16 counts refer to what appears to be the same victim. At last check on KCS's website, Brooks was still listed as a social studies teacher at West High School. Now, I did reach out to Knox County Schools for a comment. In a statement, a spokesperson said Chad Brooks is on administrative leave without pay and has been notified that his contract will not be renewed for the 2025-26 school year. He was booked into the Roger Wilson detention facility on Saturday, but records show he was released from jail but is wearing a GPS monitor. KPD asks that anyone who has more information of more possible cases to contact police.
Shay Smith with the very latest tonight.
A Wilkinson County PE teacher still in jail tonight, accused of assaulting a middle school student. Today we learned Jamel Ashley is facing a dozen counts of child cruelty. Carmen Brown explains what we know.
Wilkinson County middle school teacher Jamel Ashley is accused of holding scissors to a student's neck. Sheriff Richard Chapman says his office learned of the complaint last week.
I was contacted Thursday afternoon and given information about it, and at the same time I contacted the district attorney's office.
Ashley was booked this Wednesday and is still in custody waiting for a bond hearing. The sheriff could not say what led up to the alleged confrontation, but says thankfully the student wasn't injured.
As far as I know, the student was not injured during that particular incident.
Chapman says he doesn't believe Ashley has a prior criminal record and cannot confirm when Ashley began his career with the district. However, online records say he's a physical education teacher.
He is originally from Lawrence County. In the past, he has taught at Lawrence County schools.
GBI was called to assist in the investigation Monday. So far, several students have been interviewed as witnesses. According to the GBI, Ashley is facing a child cruelty count for every student who witnessed the alleged assault.
Same thing as when we go on domestic calls at times, and boyfriend, girlfriend, one attacks the other, whatever, in the presence of children. That's where the cruelty to children, third degree, comes from.
The sheriff says this was an isolated incident, and anyone with concerns is urged to reach out. In Wilkinson County, Carmen Brown, 13 WMAZ News.
Now, we reached out to the Wilkinson County School Board, but they declined to comment.
Tiny chairs, big fear in the hallway. Smile like a saint, hands move the wrong way. They said trust them, gold star on the name tag. Underneath that cardigan, pure red, black flag. Report gets filled, it vanishes, airbrushed. Kids get confused, they gaslight the blush. Lawyer in the blue suit says their record's clean, but a child can't sleep, keep scrubbing their skin. Faces and faculty photos, half of them new. Whispers in staff rooms, what else could we do? They pass the problem like paper in class. Transfer the terror, let trauma amass. We need justice, not a warning, not a slap on the wrist, not sorry. In the morning, lifetime served, but the scars stay burning. Kids lose futures while the creeps keep turning. We need justice, heavy like a hammer. Turn that courtroom cold, let the sentence bring the answer. Children pay forever while the monsters get a minute. Wood chipper, justice for the ones who did it.
Male, female, predator's a shapeshifter. Perfumer aftershave, same poison in the mixture. She's too pretty to harm, he's so good with the youth. They hide behind gender to outrun the truth. Judge sees a parent, not the child on the stand. Let's protect their career while a kid shakes their hand. Rehabilitation for the one with the grin. But a kid's whole childhood gets locked from within. You gave them weekends, community chores. They took away birthdays, closed all the doors. You call it a sentence, we call it a joke. You let them walk free stays broke.
How's a summer inside? Worth a lifetime of shame. How's a curfew at night? Worth a scar in the brain. You say people change, but that child can't go back. You say move on, but the sleep turns bright. We need justice, not a warning, not a slap on the wrist, not sorry in the morning. Lifetime served, but the scars stay burning. Kids lose futures while the creeps keep turning. Need justice, heavy like a hammer. Burn that courtroom cold, let the sentence bring the answer. Children pay forever while the monsters get a minute. Would temper justice for the ones who did it. For the kids who got asked what they wore as a fabric invited. The hand at the door for the ones disbelieved by the staff, by the system, who learned early on that adults won't always listen. This is for the classrooms that feel like a cage, for the rage in their ribs that never route ages, for the names in the files redacted, erased, while the wolves change schools like a mask, like a face. So call it what it is, call it torture, flip the tax, stop polishing the image, start having kids' backs turned, lenience to iron, turn its users into dust. You want real protection, then make punishment just.